They look great in those jeans, man. Got good butts, man.
Well, we worked out, you know.
I know.
Hello everyone, I'm Johnny Christ and you are watching the Drinks with Johnny show. Today I'm joined by an old friend, the guitar player for Bad Wolves, a lot of other projects he's been in, and the podcaster, X-Man Podcast, Mr. Doc Coyle. How are you today, man?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me. Sunny Huntington Beach.
Dude.
This is beautiful.
I'm so glad you're able to come down here.
Well,
we went on the road. I got you in between some tours here, huh?
Well, I mean, didn't tour for a long time. Just did one tour, and then we're not touring again until the end of summer. But
okay.
But yes, it works out. And like I said, I live in Long Beach, so it's pretty convenient for me. So I'm just glad to be here.
I feel like I should be up on an Apple box though right now. You're not my first guest though. It's a lot taller.
No, we have to use film tricks, right? So
yeah,
you just sit here.
Yeah, I'll come up like this. You get back a little bit.
And then we'll talk like
this. But that's gonna fuck with my focus.
See, all right.
So we were texting back and forth about you coming on the show, and you said you're a gin guy. You wanted to have a French 75 was one of the drinks that you like.
I'm a fan.
Okay, so I'm gonna make it. Why don't you tell a little bit of the people at home right now who you are, a little bit of your backstory, where you're from, how we first met years ago doing when you were in God Forbid and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, God Forbid, my old band from New Jersey, metal band. I guess that would be my superhero origin story,
right?
So to speak. But no, we came out of Jersey in the late 90s in the hardcore scene doing that mix of death metal and, you know, groove metal and mathcore and insanity, and, you know, kind of before that whole metalcore thing was a thing. Like we were kind of one of the progenitors of that, I think, along with Shadows Fall and Killswitch, and even before that. And, you know, one of our kind of cool things about our band is we were able to kind of take out a lot of bands that became very big much later, and Avenged was one of the bands. And this is 2002. We did a tour, God Forbid headlining, with Bleeding Through, and Avenged Sevenfold opening up, and got along super well. So
that was actually BC, that was before Christ.
Yes.
And then, but we saw each other later. When I met you guys after that tour, it was like I want to say Buffalo or New Jersey, out somewhere at like a skate park.
No, that was in Vegas.
That was in Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, there was a skate park that we played again together.
Yeah.
And that was like a random ass venue.
So this was like maybe, I don't know, 6 months to a year after that tour.
Right.
But what really sticks out to me was you guys between that time had recorded Waking the Fallen and played the whole record for us in your van. So we're sitting back there, like there's like no seats in the back row, like scrunched around, and I remember just thinking like, oh, I think these guys might have done it, you know. But even then, it was like you went from opening up for us to like headlining over us at the skate park, and no one cared about us. They only cared about you guys.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, it was great to see that happen. But you know, bands like Trivium we took out, I think on their first tour. So we were kind of one of the progenitors of that style. You know, put out 6 LPs, and I left the band in 2013 and moved to LA and kind of decided I wanted to give music another shot and started just kind of playing with anybody, like any tours I could get, any shows I could get, session work, and eventually joined up with Bad Wolves in 2015. It wasn't called Bad Wolves then, it had a different name.
Because the first release was 17?
18.
18, okay.
Yeah, so actually, hold on, no, I joined in 2016, sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
let's get it right. Everyone fact check that later.
Well, when you're really busy, all the years start to blink. Like, what year did I do this?
Maybe I don't even know what year it is right now.
I mean, does it matter?
It doesn't, it really
I think
time is a construct, everyone.
Once we get to the 2020s, things just, I don't know, it might as well, because you want it to be like Blade Runner things to be happening, but it's not really.
It's not there yet.
No, we just have the phones, that's it.
Well, really quick, I'm glad you got the backstory, and we'll get into some more of the Bad Wolves stuff and what you've been doing since you joined the band there, and some of the other projects you got going on.
Sure.
Because you're a very busy dude.
I am.
But back to the French 75. Before I get into it, did you know the origin of this drink?
No.
So it was Henry from Henry's Bar in Paris, back in the early turn of the century. after World War I, it was just the 75, or Combat 75, I believe is what it was originally called. And it was named after the rifles that they were using in World War I, the French army. So, and then they added the French when a guy from New York brought it over and doctored it up a little bit. And that's why we got the French 75. And apparently, I don't know if you know this, there's a debate whether it should be made with gin or cognac.
Oh, well, we'll have to leave that to the elites.
So I'll go over the recipe real quick. This is McQueen and the Violet Fog gin. I had this guy Bert on my podcast. He makes this gin. It's fucking fantastic. It's real smooth. I mean, it's so smooth that take a whiff. Like you could take shots of that. Like,
it almost doesn't even smell like gin, almost.
Right?
It's like
it's got a lot of citrus to the juniper, which is great. So you're supposed to do about an ounce. I'm gonna do about an ounce and a half for you. You're a big guy. You can handle it.
Yeah, I can.
So
I was a bartender for almost 10 years, right?
No shit.
Yeah. So 2010 when things weren't going so well, for God forbid, I started working at a bar in Brooklyn called Duff's in Williamsburg. But things I never got to be like this, like a fancy bartender. I was doing, beers and shots, and then moved to LA and then working festivals. I worked Coachella 4 years in a row. You guys ever play Coachella?
We have not.
One day they'll hook it up, all right? Hook it up. They'll back the Brinks truck up, for the Avenged. All right? Listen,
maybe one day.
No, you guys are in that position where you could just, like Metallica, they'll just be the token metal band on some of these festivals. You guys are in that realm.
Hopefully soon. I mean, I did see AC/DC do it one time, so I think we got to get to that legacy act part for it.
You guys, listen, I see some grays in there. You're legacy.
I am legacy. If you go by the gray hairs, I'm definitely legacy. So the other ingredients here is a half lemon squeezed in here. So, and depending on how much you like lemon and tart, you could even do a full lemon. Do you want full or half here today?
We'll do half.
All right.
Sometimes I feel like with a lot of drinks, the acidity and kind of can overwhelm it for me, and then I have some acid reflux situations. So I have to be careful. So if I have like what I would characterize as a poorly made like margarita, for example, sometimes it'll just be too much for me. Right. So it's a nice balance.
That's a good point right there. Now the other part is simple syrup. I don't like using a lot of simple syrup. Okay. I don't know about you. It calls for 2 dashes. I was just gonna do 1 unless you're a simple syrup guy.
Well, here's the thing. I've never made this drink, all right? I've had other people make it for me, so I don't know.
We'll just do a little bit.
Do you ever go to Starbucks and then you'll order a drink and they'll start asking you how you want it? I'm like, listen, I came to you because you're Starbucks. You know how to make this stuff. Don't ask me how to make it.
You're supposed to know what's up. Can you open up this fridge down here for me, bud?
Of course.
We're gonna grab out of here. We're gonna grab some ice.
All right.
I'm gonna throw that into your mixer.
By the way, he has no scooper. He's just going with his.
I'm just going bare hands, man. I wash my hands.
Listen. I like a little salmonella with my French 75. Okay.
This is the difference. I don't have to follow the regulations at like a normal bar. I'm at my house.
I love it. So.
You're gonna add ice to that. You just got the gin, lemon juice, simple syrup. Very, very easy. Top that off for a second. You're gonna give that some shakes. Shake strongly. I had to learn how to shake. My wife had to show me how to shake that.
What were you doing? That wasn't that.
I don't know. I think I was she told me I was doing this too. No, I mean she told me I was doing this too much, and she said you got to throw it overhead and get it a good.
Okay,
good thing,
I guess I think it's pretty intuitive.
Yeah, you figure. So then you're gonna just go ahead and pour those into a champagne flute.
Champagne flute, as it were.
As it were. So
the reason why I actually started getting into this drink really has less to do with the gin and more to do with the champagne. I want to say like 5 years ago or so, I realized that champagne or sparkling wine, you don't have to spend $300 on a bottle. You can buy it for $10. And I was like,
Corbel is really good, and it's actual champagne.
I'm gonna live fancy all the time. So then so me and my lady, we just started drinking.
Have you had Chandon?
I'm sure I have.
It's not super expensive. I wanted to get an actual champagne, not a sparkling wine for you today. Okay. So I got these splits, and what you do is just top the rest of your flute off. That's actually gonna look good in the camera down there.
Really? Okay.
Because we'll put it in slow motion. It'll be nice and sexy for you. Okay.
I thought we were going to remove that in post.
No. We leave it all.
Okay.
The only thing we take out is if there's something that you didn't like that happened here.
No, I love it. I love the raw, unfiltered version of things.
That's what we like to do here.
I want to be manicured.
There we go. There's your French 75.
That's it? No garnish?
No garnish. You don't need a garnish on that.
Oh.
The champagne is the garnish.
Okay. Can I try it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
That's what we're doing now.
I feel like a connoisseur.
He went in with the nose. He went in with the nose on it.
Pinky up. I do feel fancy, you know.
Yeah. It's a fancy drink.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But you know what I say? I think I could have used that second thing of simple syrup.
All right.
Know? But that's because I'm from the hood, you know, and I have, you're.
Is simple syrup strong in the hood?
Okay, so if you ever go, you ever go to Dunkin' Donuts on the East Coast or anything?
I mean, I've been to a Dunkin' Donuts before.
So like unlike Starbucks where you go and you make your coffee yourself, you tell them, you go cream and sugar. So if you're in the hood, you will basically get sugar milk with a little bit of coffee. So we like our sugar in the hood.
I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more simple syrup for you on the next one.
But
let's sit in front of here and continue this conversation. Look at that, just dripping off.
It actually is very good. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna grab myself a beer, and we'll sit over here.
Yeah, sounds
Just
good.
walk this way. We're still having our conversation right now, and it's very natural. So we're gonna keep it going right now. We're just talking about us being podcasters and social creators of some kind, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and the ins and outs of it. So I'm going to continue that real quick. But part of the YouTube thing that I like is having those 3 to 4 minute clips that we can put out, and utilizing each platform for what it's supposed to be, right? So you use Instagram for photos usually. That's usually what everyone's going there for. Go to
video,
Twitter or a video, right? Short, but something short. You go to Twitter, for instance, to read someone, actually tweeting and fucking having something to say.
Thought process and kind of ideas.
Right. And you go to YouTube for, about 3 to 5 minute clips for the most part. But a lot of times you catch them on the rabbit hole. They watch the 3 to 5 minute clip and they're like, hey, that was really interesting. I'm going to go watch the full episode.
Yeah.
And that's what you're hoping for, because a lot of people but the problem is, there's a reason why I like doing the podcast side of it too, is you get to control the narrative of what actually happened. So someone might pick up that 3 to 5 minute clip and think they know what the whole episode was about, right? That's the only problem you end up with on that, in my opinion. But it's fun to have this way of creating our own media, to me, because I mean you know it. Over the years, it's so fucking boring to do those fucking interviews, like over and over, the same goddamn questions. I gotta come up with a new.
You'll have a new album coming out soon. Those interviews will be coming. You'll be doing them.
No,
again.
I'm not doing them. I'm only doing this. If you want to know anything about what I think, you gotta watch and listen to this shit. Because I'm tired of doing those. I mean, because it's not even fun for the interviewer. Like, they know that they have to try and get something that the editor's gonna like, put it on the front page of their .com or whatever the fuck they're trying to do. And it's fine. I don't fault anyone for it. It's just so boring and monotonous. I just want to be able to. I want to be able to know the person, not what they do. Like, it's great if I want to know what they do. That's easy enough to find. I want to get to know someone like yourself a little bit more.
Well, it's interesting now being on the other side of this, and maybe you can relate this too, because maybe like publicists reached out to you and go, hey, can you have such and such on your show? And you see it's all part of a machine of promotion, which is such and such has a record coming out, so they're going to do their rounds. And when you have that machine of the media supposed to promote the album, then it becomes, there's a list of questions. Oh, what was making the album like? What are you excited for tour? What are the lyrics about, right? Everything is tied into these kind of tight structures. And I don't always turn them down, but a lot of times I don't want to be a part of that thing, because it's just, where's the interesting part of that? If you're of that same person who's going to go out, do 10 interviews on 10 podcasts, and they're there to promote the record, I've had people go, well, you can have such and such, but you can only talk about the new album.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah.
And,
no, you're right.
And I get it, like, because we put out records, we want people to know about our album and hear about it, but it's like I don't even want to call it like artistic, but there's this other element of like you said, this purism of friendliness and conversation and discovery, and not or just telling another story that's a little bit deeper. Because to me, the most interesting things about my show is not necessarily what happened, but it's ultimately about the emotional arc of like, hey, you were in this band and you left and you didn't know what you were doing next, and what did that feel like? Or like you had all this success, how did that feel? So you were, sleeping on floors, the next thing you know, you're headlining stadiums. What did that feel like? That's always much more interesting to me than what the lyrics.
Yeah, I always find it funny. I'm like, can't you just listen to the music and interpret it the way that you want then? Like, why do I, as the creator, have to then tell you how to listen to it as well?
Well, because I think a lot of people that perhaps don't do that job particularly well, they don't realize that their medium is creative as well, right? There's a creativity to interviewing, to asking interesting questions, to try and act.
There's an absolute art to it.
Yeah, well, it's an art and a high-end, razor-sharp skill set. The great, the Howard Sterns out there.
Yeah. Or we were talking about Joe Rogan before.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Rogan, is probably one of the best in terms of if there's a subject matter, he's the best at being kind of the avatar for the listener to kind of hopefully ask those questions that you want to hear, especially if it's someone who has like from a technical field or something that's in a certain kind of level of understanding. So and I even through history, I'll go back and watch different interviewers and kind of see like what makes that work and what makes it seamless, and I listen to every show I do and kind of pick apart my speaking rhythms. Am I talking too much? Am I not being an active listener? All that stuff.
Are you doing any of the, when you listen back, do you say like before you release it or like when you're done? I guess I'm asking like, do you do any of the editing yourself when you're listening back to the audio? Oh, you do everything? Okay, cool. No, I do I leave the video stuff because I'm not great at it. To our director, who's phenomenal at it. He does a lot of good graphics too. But on the audio side, we share our stuff back and forth. And on the audio side, I drop all these conversations into Pro Tools, and I'll add background music, and I'll see where the conversation is and where I need to improve stuff for the next time.
Yeah, I think it's good because, like anything, right? Let's say I take a month off the show, you lose that thing. Just doing it. The more I do it, I'm sharper. I have a solid rhythm, because I think it's all about that flow, right? The best conversations, when it's happening, you almost get like goosebumps in a good conversation. And you experience that while having the conversation, but also when you're listening back and you hear, oh man, it usually takes about 20 minutes for a conversation to like settle. Yeah, where everyone becomes less self-conscious about their answers. They're not, and even sometimes I rarely do interviews with people I don't know, but the times I have done interviews with people I don't know, it takes them a little bit to trust you, to really think you're not just headline mining or looking for dirt, which the format of my show, I could probably be the guy who gets the most dirt.
Easily. But you're also on the other side of it too, so it's easier to trust someone like you.
I'm just not that interested in it. It's because usually I don't like drama. I don't like, especially like since I'm in the industry, I could be seen as, oh, you're taking this person's side. Oh, you had such on your show and they talked shit and and it's like, dude, I'm just having a conversation. Yeah, I'm Switzerland. I'm just having a conversation. True. No, it is, but I'll have, sometimes if, there's a band split, and because it's the X man, I gotta have the X members on, if someone feels like, oh, this person got their side out, well, let's talk to, you come on the show too, tell your side of the story, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually 9 out of 10 times, I wanna be friends with everybody if I can.
Yeah, if you can, yeah. I mean, well, that's the whole thing is, we are all friends. Like, we've all seen each other. Like, it's so funny because you guys have never been that way, and God forbid, like we talked about behind the bar, where you brought up, you guys had bands like myself and or like ourself and Trivium and stuff come up with you guys, but there was a lot of times in the early 2000s where a lot of bands would see each other side-eyed, like it was a competition.
That's that Orange County shit, though.
It was, though.
You guys had that whole, like, even because I remember the first time we toured with Atreyu in 2003, they were telling us, actually, Avenged told us the same thing, like, all those other bands hate us.
Yeah.
Because, whether it's the Throwdowns or 18 Visions and Adamantiums, when they, like, were out there building that, and it's like, and by the way, we went through the same thing in like the hardcore scene. It's all about paying your dues, right? And if it's felt like we set the ground for you to kind of exist on, and you achieve success at a quicker pace or whatever, it's like there's always going to be that, stuff in that world, I think, to some degree.
Right.
But there's definitely some special stuff to this area. But luckily now everyone's friends, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, to that point though, I think all those bands legitimately did not like us until we were on tour with them, and they got to know us, and we were like, we're just doing the same thing, man.
Well, I think when you see some young bands, just good-looking sons of bitches, you're like, these
we're not young and good-looking
chiseled-jawed stallions out here trying to take all the ladies.
From Orange County.
They look great in those jeans, man. They got good butts, man.
Well, we worked out,
I know, dude, I know. I remember that tour. I saw Matt out there looking jacked. I was just like, God damn.
Yeah,
I'm still, one day, Matt, I'm coming for you. One of these days, I'm gonna go full Mac from It's Always Sunny and just get jacked at 45
God, I love
for
Always Sunny.
no reason.
Such a good show.
Perfect show.
Yeah, they filmed an episode over here on the pier in Huntington.
Nice.
It was pretty. I tried to go get an autograph. They kicked me out.
You should have told them who you were.
They don't care.
I could have sworn, they have a podcast, and I think, were they talking about you guys?
Yeah, they did a review of Hail to the King.
Yeah, they were listening. That's right.
and it sounded eerily like the Nightman or whatever.
I think
you could sing the Nightman over Hail to the King pretty easily.
Well, they made an astute observation, which was they're like, oh, it sounds a little like AC/DC, and it's like we're going for a little bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, astute observation. They also did a little run on the show about Thrice, because I guess.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Well, I think they were talking about the stickers or the posters, or like they were in the background.
Oh, right, from the like the first season.
Yeah, and also Mac was wearing a Bleeding Through shirt in one of the first seasons too. Nice.
That's pretty rad. That's pretty rad when you think about that, because it was all the bands that we were touring with and playing with in the early 2000s.
There was probably some PA who was like a scene kid.
Had to be.
Who was like, put this shirt on, or putting posters up. Or the funny thing, go back to Sopranos, and there's a bunch of like Roadrunner bands, because AJ, he's supposed to be like a metalhead, so there's like, Chimera and Fear Factory and all that.
It's gonna be funny is to a lot of people. I'm gonna get the shaft on this one or whatever. A lot of criticism. I've never watched The Sopranos.
Never too late.
No, that's seriously. Right. I know, because it is all.
It holds up great
now. It is.
Yeah, dude.
I'll check it out.
Never too late. I can't believe you went through an entire pandemic and didn't watch The Sopranos.
Oh, I was watching trash the whole time.
You're watching what?
I was watching trash the whole time. I was
what?
watching what was the Tiger King?
Okay. Yeah, but listen, I burned the Tiger King out in an afternoon. That was it.
Once again,
banged it out.
All right, let's get into this though, Doc, because you don't have kids. I've got a kid. There's a minimal time that I have to actually watch what I want.
True.
And a wife. So like if I watch something with my wife, that's one thing. But then the kid has the whole time that he's awake, and then I get like an hour before I'm fucking dog tired and pass out.
I feel you. Listen, well explained.
But I'll get through it. Let's talk a little bit about music finally.
Sure. We have to like cut this up and reverse it.
Nah. We'll just leave it. It's all good. We ran into each other in January at a auto show.
Yes.
Ty Trio's band.
You're at Alex's Bar.
Alex's Bar, yeah, in Long Beach.
That's right.
That's right around the corner from your house then, probably, yeah?
Pretty much, about a mile from my house. Don't stalk me, internet.
Internet. The whole internet's stalking him.
They're like, we're good, Doc. No one's stalking you.
No, it was cool to run into, because I didn't even realize you were out here and running into you there. I mean, how good is that fucking band, though?
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah, if you guys don't know, Rob Trujillo from Metallica, his son, Ty, has a awesome thrash metal band called Otto. How many T's? Is it 3 T's?
I don't know, dude.
It
was a few.
It's a lot of T's. So he's like, starts with T, Ty.
It's easy to find now. It's easy to find.
But they're like, 17 years old. They're amazing.
Yeah, really good musicians, and obviously, and just a three-piece thrash band, man.
Well, I joked. I was like, we're all going to be opening up for them soon.
Yeah. And he ain't lying.
Might not be much of a joke, but that's how it goes, man. The talent's out there.
Yeah, but so it was fun running into you there. I ran into Robert, and then I didn't realize it at the time, but had you guys already started the wedding band?
Well, technically, the wedding band started before me. I think they had
Okay.
done at least a couple shows before I joined. But I started playing with Rob with this band called Mass Mental. Actually, I played a show with Brooks.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We did a show. We played some surf magazine award show thing. We did a gig. But yeah, I got to jam.
When was that?
So that was was that 2015? Was it 2015?
Okay.
Like I said, the years are all mixed up. But no, so
It was some time ago.
So when I first moved to LA, it was that same band, but Ken Schalk from Candiria was filling in for Brooks for Mass Mental, and they needed a guitar player to do a few Sabbath songs, and I was jamming with Ken in this cover band called Rebel Noise Group. My name came up, and I ended up doing that, and then Rob just kept calling me.
That's awesome.
So, and then a few years later, like I said, I did that gig. I did a bunch of rehearsals. I was usually like the fill-in guy for like rehearsals and stuff. I didn't really do a ton of gigs. And in that same vein, I had heard about the wedding band thing, and I was like, oh, that's cool, because Whitfield is doing it, who also played with Mass Mental. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then the next thing I know, I get an email from Rob. I was like, hey, can you fill in for Kirk at this rehearsal? And it was right in between Bad Wolves tours. So I was like, yeah, no problem.
Right.
Learned a bunch of songs. A lot of it was some of the similar stuff as Mass Mental, so it wasn't too far from that. And then the rehearsal went really well, and he's like, man, I think I'd like to have you on this gig. And it's like just to kind of help, flesh everything out and tighten things up, and ended up working out, and then they just kept calling me back. So I kind of, weaseled my way into the wedding band. If you guys don't know, it's an all-star cover band. Mm-hmm. Kirk Hammett and Rob Trio from Metallica, Whitfield Crane from Ugly Kid Joe, John Theodore from Queens of the Stone Age, and then we just had Mark Asagueda from Death Angel as the second vocalist.
Oh shit, I didn't realize that. So it sounds like it's like an all-star band, but you guys could kind of bring in other people every once in a while too.
Absolutely.
And like kind of rotate it around.
Yeah, we have this guy Mike. He plays with Mondo Generator.
Not familiar.
Well, it's like the dude Nick Oliveri from Queen's
Okay.
other band, but awesome drummer. He's filling in for this gig. I mean, I'm sure if I can't do a show, they'll get someone to kind of do it. But that's how it is. It's kind of just a little collective of island misfit toys.
Now, I heard you mention that on the Peer Pleasure podcast.
Yeah.
You consider yourself from the island of misfit toys.
I mean, I suppose so. I mean, I don't know. I guess from my background, being biracial, God forbids background, being like a band that never really felt like we fit in with anyone. I think that's my mentality, is always just kind of being a little askew from everything. But that's all right. Who wants to be normal?
No, nobody. Why would you? No, I think it was in a good context too. Of you just saying like how I think you guys were talking a little bit about Nickelback. And how it was really interesting to me, because you brought up some good points on how like Nickelback seems to be this band that's all hated, but like somehow they have Diamond Records in the States, like, so who the fuck are listening to them? You're a fan of them as well, and you've kind of always just been like, if I like it, I like it. I don't really give a fuck what anyone thinks, right?
Well, listen, I think especially within our world, and even like the layer down, like before probably Avenged became the band that they became, when the band was more like a scene band, a Warped Tour band. That world is littered with elitism and gatekeeping, and this is the real punk over here, and this is the real metal over here, and this is real hardcore over here. And I've always felt like there's almost this like self-censoring and inability to just like enjoy things,
right,
for what they are, not necessarily as like a marker of this is my, it's like someone who wears like the vest with all the patches, like this is my signifier of me being legitimate, you know, which by the way, I totally understand, of like having, a patch on your thing, with an Anthrax patch or Lamb of God patch, and saying that's who you are. And just listening to like, a Taylor Swift song and just enjoying it, but not necessarily. One thing can be your identity, and something needs to be something you enjoy. Which is, I totally understand that, but I'm just.
Yeah, I was almost gonna have to burn my vest. Like, I was
what do you got in there? What we talking about?
Shit, I've got a few different vests.
I know you got the Misfits, right?
Everyone's got to have a Misfits.
Danzig.
I don't have a Danzig. I have one of my favorite ones is actually Animal from the Muppets. I have an Animal patch on.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I like it.
You think a drummer would have Animal? Are you a secret closet drummer?
I mean, I am terrible at drums, but I play a little bit.
All right. Okay.
You know? I mean, you mess around on the drums.
No,
too.
I'm the worst drummer you've ever seen in your life.
I love that.
It's not. You would love it if you saw it. You're like, yo, put those sticks down. Get up. Get this man a guitar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like to think I could carry a beat. I'm not very good at the fills and stuff. But.
No, I'm just not good.
Yeah.
No. It wasn't meant to be. You know, I don't. No, you
it's
like.
a good thing you're good at guitar, though.
I'll take it. No, but are you? Because like me, I'm very jealous of those multi-instrumentalist people that can just do everything. You know, I'm just like, okay. You know, it's like I've kind of noticed like the people who are just really high end at something. You're just like they're like a genius player, and then they get up and do another instrument, and they're like kind of almost as good at the other thing, and you go, oh no, they're just good at music.
I know one guy like that.
Who's that? Who's the guy?
You know him.
I know him?
Yeah.
I know him, but you're not saying it.
Because I don't want to give him props. He's already got a fucking big head.
Oh, okay. Well then, all right, fuck that guy then. Or gal. We're not.
No, it's a guy. It's a guy.
It's a guy.
He
all right.
used to wear a lot of eyeliner, so.
So it's someone in your band. Okay. You got one of those. Listen, but bands run on those guys. Like if you have one of those, or sometimes two of those people in your band, you know, a couple, you know, geniuses, it makes our jobs a lot easier.
Absolutely. Because Lord knows I ain't the genius in my band. But let's get into some of the bands we already talked about God Forbid, and now Bad Wolves. You guys, like we said, was it 2018 was Disobey?
Yeah. We put a song, our first song came out in 2017.
Okay.
Learn to Live, and then at which we put out a couple songs and then spent like a year like getting a record deal and kind of doing the whole thing before the album came out.
Okay. Well, I was listening to it. I only heard what I've heard on Active Rock, to be honest, like
Sure.
on some of the stations, like the singles, and then after I saw you, actually, I started listening to a little bit. I was like, oh, Bad Wolves. I didn't even realize like it wasn't on my radar. And I was listening to Disobey, and I was like, this is like proggy as shit. Like the rhythms on it, like and your drummer. I didn't follow Devil Driver very much, so I had no idea what kind of drummer he was, and it really showed on that record. Like he's pretty insane.
Well, he relearned how to play. He started training with Dave Elitch and completely changed his technique, changed like the types of drums he played.
Wow.
Like he completely, and so that record was really like a reflection of him kind of displaying that evolution, you know. And even that first record it's fascinating. Basically, like most of it was written by John and this guy Max Karen, who was the original guitar player, and Max is one of those genius guys. Like, so there it was like an amalgamation of that, and then Tommy joined, and a lot of the vocal stuff, and it was, you know, Tommy helped kind of solidify everything. But that record, it was like, it was this kind of heavy, proggy, but very catchy, you know, kind of,
right.
You know, like to me it was almost like, when I first heard it, because like I said, I joined and they pretty much had like a record done. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, this is like Periphery and Seven Dust had a baby or something.
That's,
you know, that's kind of, you know, how I perceived it, and it was very challenging because a lot of that genty rhythm style was a little alien for me because I'm a thrash metal dude,
right.
You know. And so I had to kind of just relearn everything and kind of really kind of tear the stuff down and try and figure out how to understand that kind of musical language.
Those patterns are very intricate.
Yeah.
And then like some of the guitar runs that it's not just the genty rhythmic pattern, right? It's also the runs that follow in and out of those genty shit.
It's very challenging, even to this day, a lot of that stuff. But then the band got a record deal, and you know, Zoltan from Five Finger started managing the band, and that brought in, at the time, it was called 11-7 Records, now it's Better Noise. And all of a sudden, you have basically the number one rock radio label in the world. And so it basically allowed, and then Tommy had Zombie from this other band, and he already had that. And then
is that right? I
and
that was the cover of the
and then so we had this like super heavy kind of proggy weird record, but very catchy. Then that, and then when that whole thing happened with Dolores O'Riordan passing away and the song coming out and taking off, they wanted, we needed more stuff in that vein. So then there was this other song called "Hear Me Now" that the band had different versions of that we finished, and then "Remember When." So it was like this kind of weird thing where like there was this one record, and then almost like these kind of more radio quote unquote type songs were kind of added, and even the songs like "No Masters" and a handful of that stuff was put. I'd say like 40% of the record was put together after we had a record deal. And then a lot of that stuff that was even proggier and crazier, it became like B-sides and things like that.
That's interesting because it's, as a listener after the fact, not knowing that, it's pretty seamless. Like I don't think I would have noticed that.
That's good. I mean, it's so hard for me to like.
Well, you can't. Yeah,
I have a different perception. No, because when I first joined the band, all I'm doing is playing these crazy hard songs.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's this like whole rock side of the band, which by the way, I was actually very happy with because John asked me to join the band before it was even a band. It was just him and Max back when I first moved to LA. And I remember hearing the demos and I'm just like, just coming off God Forbid, I actually didn't want to join a super heavy metal band. I was like, almost like worn out from just the intensity. And I had this band called Vegas Nerve that I was doing kind of prog rock, still like some technicality, but I was enjoying doing something a little more spacious and kind of exploratory. And I wanted to kind of work this other kind of different musical muscle. And so it was kind of a relief when we started introducing more rock elements into Bad Wolves because I didn't want to be in a band that was just full on the whole time.
Nation definitely was a departure from all that, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think Nation was trying to find a better balance, because there's still, on Nation, I think Nation is almost a little more, I don't know if schizophrenic is the right word, but it's more extreme on the ends. It's like really super kind of mainstream poppy stuff and then stuff that's really, really heavy.
Yeah, that was just a lot of like four on the floor,
yeah.
Arena rock stuff that a lot of the arena rock verses I heard on
Yeah, and that's, and even with the last record, I think, trying to figure out the balance, like who is the band when you can do anything, right? When you can have basically an acoustic ballad and a death metal song on a record.
Yeah.
And it all kind of, you've done all that. It leaves it up to you to figure out what exactly is the balance. And I think it's this weird thing with us where we're all metal dudes, right? Or, metalcore scene dudes and all this stuff. But then the songs for the band that have done the biggest has been more the radio stuff. So you got to figure, as a creator, do you do something to please that audience or do you do something to make yourself happy and figure out that balance? Because if you take that risk, right, and it's not well received, maybe it has these difficult impacts. So I think, and that's a collective thing where from each album, we're like figuring out like, how do we strike that balance?
Right. I think that's that's probably the smart approach, to be honest. But for me, I don't know, man. Just coming from like the punk rock roots too, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna write what I fucking feel, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
No, I know, and that's how I want it to be. But I think when you have these like collaborative environments where it's like there's no like I'm not the boss of anything. I can't tell. It's like figuring out hopefully collectively where everyone sits, because
a place where everyone's comfortable.
Yeah, because if this person wants this and this person wants that. Yeah. I mean, I remember having discussions, on this last record about maybe me not wanting a certain song on the record that, even though I thought it was a good song, it's like, it's a little, too in that direction. I kind of, and it's like this push and pull between like the balance of a record and and it was also tough for us having the vocalist change because.
Yeah, it seems like, we don't need to go too far. Are you guys still in litigation with Vext?
No. All that stuff, we literally settled the day the album came out.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good news. Yeah, it kind of sounds like from peripherally, I just kind of look at it and I'm like, is that the right word? Anyway.
Peripherally.
Peripherally.
I think.
Thank you. Sure, whatever.
That's right.
From the outside looking in, It just seemed like he kind of lost his mind a little bit there. I don't know.
Well, I will decline to comment on that.
That's all good.
You know, but it was, you know, I think it was a difficult situation. I think ugly band divorces, I hate it from the outside looking in. Anytime I see, like, you know, looking at the Every Time I Die situation, for example, is kind of heartbreaking because I know all those guys for years, and you just, it's like seeing your parents fight or something. You know, it's definitely not fun. It was a very difficult situation, but I also feel like, I don't know, your sense of self is kind of designed by the diversity you experience.
Right.
So like, adversity, not diversity.
Diversity is a different subject.
Adversity. See, the French 75 is starting to work. That's the thing with the Drinks with Johnny. He gets you liquored up, and he starts asking you the tough questions.
Going back to the 20 minutes in, I think we're a little past 20 minutes, but it kicks in a little bit with the drinks.
I know. I think the acid he put in here is starting to really work. Don't tell nobody.
Well, actually, on that note, I will admit, though, too, like, I usually would be drinking one of those with you, but I'm taking some time off of booze. I need to get a sober brain, so I got these NAs.
So I wish you would just lie to the people and be like, "Man,
I'm fucked up." That's the thing, though. I don't fake the funk here, dude. Like every time people are like, is he really taking those shots and stuff? I'm really fucking taking those shots. Like I'm not. Yeah. I'm never. Because it doesn't matter that much to me. It's not because I'm cool or anything. It's just like, if I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink. I'm not going to pretend to
So
drink.
how much have you drank on one show? Have you drank a lot on one show?
Oh, yeah. I had John Domayan on the show. Nice. When we play. First of all, he took way too long to get here. John, you know that. You were over at your comic book store for a little too long. I was waiting for you. I was already drinking scotch. And then we played a game of Jenga, drinking Jenga.
Nice.
And by the end of it, I had to cut. That's the one time I had to cut a lot of the episode out.
Fall into the Jenga?
I could not do a proper outro, so I had to do an outro the next day.
Hey, thanks for checking out another episode of Drinks with Johnny.
Yeah, that was probably the ugliest it's gotten.
So that's what happens when you have big time guests on here. You know, like they'll show up when they feel like it. You know, guys like me.
No, that was bullshit though,
It's
John.
only 8 minutes late.
No, John's a good friend, but that was bullshit. I was like, come on, man, I want to get this over with.
Who won at Jenga?
He did.
Son of a bitch.
Well, he's good. He's like a poker player and everything too. So anytime that he was supposed to drink, he knew that I wouldn't let him drink alone at my own house. So if he even when I wasn't my turn to drink, based on the game, he would cheers me.
Oh, so you were playing Jenga and whoever lost?
So I have this Jenga game. I'll show you. I've written on the blocks different actions that you have to take. Nice. So not only when you pull it, then you got to read and see. Like some of them take a drink, take a shot, do something silly, do something stupid. Oh. I play this with my friends and stuff.
I like this. Yeah. I didn't know about this. No one told me.
Next time when I'm drinking, we'll have to have you back for that, and we'll do that. This is actually a checker table too that a fan made carved it with their hands, and there's shot glasses that go on it. So every time you jump somebody, you take a shot.
Okay. It's not a chess table though?
I think you could play chess on it too.
Okay. All right.
Are you a chess man?
Not really. I haven't played in a long time. Maybe one day I'll kind of revert back to my intellectual roots and be a man, in the park, old man.
Go to the park, dude.
That's right.
I just love to see Doc Coyle at the park.
With the newspaper curled up under my arm, playing chess with a scarf.
Though one day we'll meet when we're 20 years from now. We'll be meeting each other at the park.
Yeah. Playing
chess. How about that?
Yeah, like Magneto and Professor Xavier.
Ooh, going into the comics. I like it.
That's right.
You a big comic guy?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I was mainly Marvel. Got into like Valiant comics and Image comics and stuff. I still have retained a big portion of my collection. Not everything, but and then that's transferred mainly into the movie side of things. I'm a big MCU guy, real big. It's a
MCU?
problem. Yeah, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, see, I'm a big fan of the movies. I wouldn't even know that there's an acronym for it.
Wow. It was rookie hour around here. He's like, bro, I got kids, bro. Got time to remember all the acronyms.
No. I watched the movies with him. I introduced him to all the movies because I remember how excited I was when they did the first X-Men movies.
They're pretty good. They hold up pretty well.
They hold up pretty well. I mean, Hugh Jackman wasn't quite the jacked man that he is now, but you know.
Huge jacked man.
I mean, what a name for that guy to go get roided up and become Wolverine.
Well, the best part is the last one when he's supposed to be all depressed and like shot. He's the most jacked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a little it's kind of like in Star Wars where when they go back and do episodes 1, 2, and 3, they have the better technology. But
well, at least there's actually a logic to that you could make. That the
like
fall of the the Republic, so then everything got all dirty and shitty.
Yeah.
It's like the Depression. I was like,
I've heard that argument too. I use that argument as well.
I mean, whatever. Some bullshit we just pull out of our ass. Maybe. They're like, oh, is that true? And they're like, yeah, sure.
Sure.
Whatever you think.
That's exactly what it is, people.
Or just George Lucas, wanted to use all his toys, that's all.
Why not, dude? I mean, he invented using all that shit. I mean, like,
definitely
really.
at the forefront.
Yeah.
Pretty sure of shitty green screen acting.
Yeah. So good, though. I mean, who doesn't love those?
Sands, just little rocks.
We completely got off topic, and I love it. Back to Bad Wolves.
Sure.
And we already covered the departure. We don't need to go too much further into that with your singer. But you got the new guy, Dale, on the new record, Dream Monsters.
Deer Monsters.
Deer Monsters, Dream Monsters. I don't know why I said that.
Dream Warriors, baby.
Dream Warriors. That's a Freddy Krueger movie?
Yeah, part 3 is the best one. It's the best one.
3's your favorite?
It's not my favorite, it's the best. Unequivocally.
It's not an opinion.
I mean, the original, the OG is
with Johnny Depp, who's in the news again today.
I know. You probably hung out with Johnny Depp, right?
I've met him. We did a festival in Europe, and he would stay at the same hotel in Vienna.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's a cigar bar downstairs in this one.
Cigar bar, Vienna. All right, it's how he lives. It's how the side lives, guys.
It's a really nice cigar bar. They got good scotch in there, and
nice.
we're having some cigars and scotch. And I think he was out with the Hollywood Vampires.
Yeah.
And he's at a table next to us, and I just went over and introduced myself real quick, and he was very nice, very kind, and then. I went off to bed, and he went off and did whatever the fuck he did.
Okay.
So it was a quick. We're not besties yet, but I mean, I really want to talk to this guy after watching any part of this trial. When he talks about mega pints and
what is a mega pint?
I don't know, but it's so fucking good.
Is this the metric system somewhere?
Dude, every time that guy's on the stand and like has something to say about his drinking or his marijuana consumption, he becomes more and more dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this guy is the fucking best. I don't know what's going on legally at the trial. I really don't even know why there's a trial, to be honest, because I don't pay attention.
I think they're suing each other or something.
I don't fucking know. All I know is I see these clips, and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this. This is too fun. And then like the fact that the chick like shit in his bed. I mean, this stuff is like, you cannot write this.
Human fecal matter. Human fecal matter.
He didn't even want to say it. It was like so crazy.
I think he has one of the most interesting and like pleasing to the ear like speaking voices. So if I recommend this to anyone, Keith Richards wrote a book, a memoir, and the audio book, not all of it, but like the first, 20 or 30% of the book, Johnny Depp narrates.
No shit.
His book, and it's
that sounds super.
But it's like, dude, he's brilliant. He's so good at it. But his voice, he has such a unique. So like I don't even know. Like, where are you from? What amalgamation of accents is like cascading over each other?
I feel like it's got to be. I mean, it's got to be the Hunter S. Thompson from Fear and Loathing. He still kind of talks like Hunter S. Thompson.
It's the one role he could never shake.
Yeah, but I mean, he did a fucking great job. I don't know, like that movie is one of my all-time favorites. So.
For you, I wouldn't see that coming. You know? A little on the nose, huh?
Who would have thought?
You guys into Hunter S. Thompson, all right?
Yeah, weird.
You got that VMA around here anywhere? Where's
I actually don't even know where that is. I think we brought. That's a good question. It's probably in storage somewhere.
Well, but. They only give you one, right? Or does each guy
We each got one. We each got
nice.
one. Yeah.
Nice.
I think one of our last tours, we had like our wannabe Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, like for the VIP area.
Okay.
Where we put out a lot of our memorabilia and guitars and stuff, and people could go back there and play and shit for the VIP stuff.
That's sick.
It was cool. It was cool.
Really
so I donated a lot of that stuff, and I don't know what happened to it since then. So it's probably at the warehouse at this point.
I like it. Well, so listen, that was the end of an era. You guys got that VMA.
Dude, I mean, it's insane. 'Cause, I mean, we didn't know it at the time, obviously, but yeah, when you think about it, like, that was like the last time they were playing music videos, period, let alone anything in the rock world. Like, we got lucky as shit to even get played on regular MTV. Like,
Yeah.
that was crazy.
It was like the last there was like that last group of bands that still got like $1 million advances for being like a brand new band.
Yeah.
Because record sales still existed. And it's like, if you got that, it's like, man, you got that final robbery right before.
We got our last loan from the bank. You know, they don't loan out that kind of money anymore.
It's all good.
But we're still in it, so we
NFTs,
understand.
bro. All right, they got it. They got the next.
Well, the NFTs are for everyone. Those aren't just for us.
All right, there you
so,
go.
That's a whole other thing we could get into.
I should get me one of them death bats. All right, I'm gonna find a
You
kid.
want one?
Listen, I just want to like find a kid outside the show. Say, give me your death bat, bitch. Give me that shit.
That would be scary as hell. You guys saw a second ago him standing next to me. That'd be scary as hell.
Break yourself, son. Where's my death bat?
It's not lunch money anymore.
You better transfer that right now.
That's the new age. That's gonna be like what I gotta watch out for my kid when he becomes teenage. He's like, he's gonna get his digital art stolen off of his phone.
Give me your crypto codes.
That's fucked up. Now I'm thinking about that. I'm like, oh, what do I got to worry about with my son?
Listen, I'm writing a pilot in my mind right now about
Just do a
about a guy
TV show.
take someone hostage, trying to get their crypto. It's there.
You got to sell it to Michael Bay so he could blow up shit around it too.
Come on, Michael. Call me.
So back to Dear, let's say the
Monsters.
rest, Dear Monsters this way. So when I saw you guys had the #1 single in January, it's fucking awesome. Congrats
Thank you.
on
I
that.
appreciate it.
But I wanted to get into when I listened back to the record after that, and I've heard this like from some different bands now. Like Ghost did their entire record in this Atmos thing, like the it's like Atmos Dolby Digital mastering. You guys only did it on one song though, and it showed up. Like, I don't know if you're aware, but I was listening through
know
Apple.
nothing of this.
Okay, so I was listening through Apple, and I was on a jog, and like the song was it If Tomorrow Died?
Tomorrow Never Comes.
Tomorrow Never Comes, right?
That's the new current single.
Okay, so
Top 10, not #1 yet.
not yet. No, you guys make it #1, all right?
That's right.
So I'm listening to it, and then all of a sudden I was like, why did that song get quieter? And then you know, have you listened to any of these masterings like that? Like,
I mean,
from other bands?
I always, whatever, album I put out, I always buy like the actual official iTunes version just to have it. So I've listened to it through there. I didn't notice that it got quieter or see any. So
it seemed like it wasn't actually quieter. What it was is that, and then I like pulled out my phone. I was like, what the fuck? And then I turned my head, and it did the 360 audio.
So is that
what the
something you
Atmos
experience with like in
You have
your
to have
headphones?
You have to. I think you're supposed to. I think it only is supposed to work with AirPods.
Gotcha.
Or something like that. Like maybe Raycons probably do it.
I got the
something like
AirPods.
that. Yeah. So try it. Listen to it. Because at first I was like, why is it quieter? Did somebody, sometimes like with singles, we've done it in the past too, where you rush out a single for whatever reason, and you have to have somebody else mix that separate. From
So it's
the
a
record.
mix thing, not a mastering thing.
I'm not sure if it's a mix or mastering thing.
Okay.
I haven't. I was going to ask you. That's why I brought it up. I was hoping you had a little bit more insight to how this works.
No, because everything was mixed at the same time. Everything was mastered at the same time.
I wonder if it's something that they do in post, just on.
I have no idea.
On Apple.
I'll make some calls. All right?
Yeah, let's find out. We'll do a follow-up phone call on this.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
I want to know. But it's a great song, and I'm glad that it's the top 10 single right now, because it is a really great song. It sounds like something that should be in a movie soundtrack, to be honest. But as I'm listening to it, that's why I wanted to know, because I was like, why is it only coming out of my left ear when I do this, and right here? And I was like, but I just recently experienced that with listening to the newest Ghost record.
Yeah.
Their
whole record
is like that.
See, I need to. Is there like that setting that you like press?
I don't
on?
know if you could change it.
Okay.
I was hoping you could tell me a little bit
You're
more.
like,
about
this
it.
our record comes with actual ghosts in your mind. floating around your skull. By the way, that new Ghost record, amazing.
It is really good.
So it's just off the chain. They're just doing.
Dude, we had Tobias on the show. It just released last week, actually. By the time now, it'd be a couple weeks later. He's a great dude. We took him out. We took Ghost out on their first record with Deftones back in 2013. Yeah, it was a great show. It was one of my favorite lineups to be a part of, to be completely honest. 'Cause I love both bands so much, and they were all great dudes. Everyone got along really well. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, so I hadn't talked to him since then. And
is that the last tour you guys did?
No, it hasn't been quite that long.
These guys just. I love how they started. Y'all started the pandemic 2 years before the pandemic.
Well, we were ahead of the game.
Like, man, this couch is amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's what it was. I just didn't want to go anywhere. Yeah, it was. We got off in 2018. Our last tour was the European festival runs in 2018. So I've been home since then. So it's been coming up on 4 years. Looking like probably a little longer till we get back out. But
so the next record gonna be called Taiwanese Democracy or something.
Dude, I wish that we should do that. If we were a funnier band, I think like that would be. See, for me, like behind the scenes, probably people know this now from like this podcast and stuff. I think I'm funny, and I don't care if you do or not. But I like that sense of humor. Like, I wish we could do more of that shit.
As someone who laughs a lot to their own jokes, I can identify.
You're going to be a great father then, because that's what it's all about.
Oh, no, I've already been accused of doing a lot of dad jokes. And my dad was also the king of dad jokes and laughing at his own jokes. So, bring it on.
Rest in peace. Yeah, I did hear.
Thank you.
The passing of both your parents.
Yeah, within a year, not of COVID, but during that time period. So it was crazy.
I'm sorry to hear that. Man.
I appreciate it, man.
I could only sympathize with that. I haven't lost a parent yet, but I had other losses, so it's got to be tough. And I heard you had your dad on the X-Men podcast.
Yeah, well, I wanted to have both of them on there, and it was like kind of this thing. You think you have time, and because I don't know, like my podcast is very personal to me, and part of it is like this archive of my life, right? Like I'm bringing in other people to kind of patch together this narrative of like where you've been and where you're going, and my parents were so influential on me, especially my dad because of, him being a piano player and a musician and a teacher and just very, very influential on my kind of worldview and education and kind of philosophy and things like that. So my dad played on like multiple God Forbid records and like.
Dude, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So like, just he is part of, the story, and like shows like that, like you'd be amazed how well those shows would do, because they're interested in kind of like where you come from and that real personal, real stuff.
That comes back to what we were talking at the beginning of this part of the conversation.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I wish I could have got my mother on there too, and also just like because like they didn't have podcasts back when they came up. They, it's a place for them to also tell their story a little bit. And I'm upset I never ever kind of give my mother that platform. So my mother was a character, just like she was a singer and did hair and was a DJ and did all crazy, but just like personality on 10, both my parents were very non-conforming people and not standard, and also like two people you meet now, you're like, how the hell these people ever ended together? It's pretty wild. So kind of sharing that, I think it's a real great window for whoever consumes the show, and obviously if someone's listening to my show, they're at least connected to something about what I'm doing or whatever. So it's just bringing them into that. So yeah, I'm really glad I was glad to have my father on there.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be awesome. I mean I've had a lot of friends that aren't necessarily in the entertainment industry and stuff, and looking back, I text them later. Like I had my wife on at the beginning of this season, and I'm watching it, and I have a young son too, and I'm like, he's going to be able to watch and listen to this for years to come. When he was 5 years old, his mom and dad were like having a drink together in front of a fucking camera. It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
So to that point, I'm glad you were able to do that with your dad. It's very interesting though that you bring up their lives a little bit, and then you end up in an entertainment industry as well. I mean, that's kind of serendipitous, right? In a way, like, did you ever feel like when your dad was playing piano and your mom was doing DJing and hair and stuff, was there ever a moment that influenced you to pick up the guitar, or did you ever feel like that was your calling, is to be in front of people?
I don't know. I mean, I think from a young age, I always had like the entertainer's mind or energy, like you know, making people laugh or getting up and dancing or singing. I remember I did this thing where I don't know if I was doing karaoke or I sang at some like picnic event. And I remember just like, you know, everyone was all pumped up, and I remember being like really happy about that.
I got
like,
you.
Yeah, you know, and I did some plays in middle school, and I really liked that. And you know, but it was never like this direct line of like, oh, I'm going to become a musician. You know, it was kind of this thing of my brother and I, who also played guitar in God
Dallas,
Forbid.
yeah.
You know, we both drew comics, and we were just very artistic and kind of, you know, always kind of going to that outsider thing, always feeling like having some disconnection from the world at large, and the way to kind of process that was kind of going inside and expressing yourself, or maybe being uncomfortable with yourself or not happy or whatever, or feeling lost and going, oh, I can channel that in this medium and kind of express myself and find some comfort here. And then guitar, you know, for me it was like seeing, you know, Megadeth on MTV for the first time, and seeing, you know, discovering MTV and seeing Slash and you know, that scene in Wayne's World with Queen was like, that like changed my life just because.
In the Gremlin, for you kids out there who don't know about that scene.
The Gremlin, is that the car?
The car is the Gremlin.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's I think he calls it something else, but the actual make is
It's
the
like the
Gremlin.
Murph machine. They call it something weird
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But anyway, but I had these key moments where it's, and I think something about, you know, adolescence, when you turn like 12, 13, and the you know, the chemicals start flowing in your body. All of a sudden, you want to pick up a guitar for some reason, or pick up an instrument. I don't know why that is, but it was just more of like this thing of central focus, of being like, the world at large is confusing and scary, but this is like something that makes sense to me, or that you can kind of envelop yourself into. And it became like a, I don't know, like a comfort blanket, like feeling socially awkward, and like, well, when I have this, it's like your protection almost.
Right,
like
a little bit of your shield.
Yeah. And then I went to college for like one semester, and like God Forbid was already kind of going and putting out demos and playing shows. And I was at college, but my mind was with the band. And so I ended up leaving school in like '99, and within like a year, God Forbid, signed with Central Media. Like, and I was just, and never thought like, oh, I'm gonna be a musician, I'm gonna make money. I didn't think you could make a career from music. Like, especially we were doing very extreme, in my opinion, weird music. Like, I remember going to Ozfest, I think it was like '99 or 2000 or something, and I go, man, I'm like, we'll never do a tour like this. Because it was all like new metal bands and rap rock, and I was like, we're the furthest thing from that, thinking like, I never thought what we do would be like commercially viable or accepted outside of like an underground thing. So it was just this thing of just, well, you have a tour, all right, let's do that. All right, you have a record deal, so you can put out an album. Okay, I guess we'll put out an album. But it was never like these grand plans for me. I was just kind of just floating and seeing kind of what, you know, like this, you know, if you have like a tunnel and it's dark, but you can see like that little light in front of you, but you don't know where it's gonna end. I was just following that little light for me, but it was never like a grand plan. And my parents didn't even really, you know, I won't say they didn't encourage it, but there was no like, oh, you should play an instrument, you should do it. It was really none of that. We kind of just did it all on our own. And then eventually they saw we were interested and were supportive after the fact, yeah.
That's interesting. Like, I think you touched upon a little bit of, even before you picked up the guitar, like obviously at a really young age, you fed off the energy of entertaining people around you, right? Like that, like whether it was making a joke or dancing or singing karaoke.
Dance, monkey! Entertain these people, get that money!
Oh man, I didn't say it. No, it's funny because
that's what we are, though, to some degree.
No, 100%. No, because I have a very similar experience in that I did do plays in middle school and stuff, and I've always enjoyed making people happy, and I think that's where it comes from. And then to your point of the Ozfest and everything, and not really going after a commercial thing because he didn't think it was possible, and I think that should be most bands. I mean, I think that was it for me. Like, I knew I wanted to be in a band. You knew you wanted to play guitar and be in a band and be with some brothers and tour and be out there and have fun. Never expecting it to be a career. You're what, 19, 20 years old probably?
I mean, when we first started touring, I was 19, and then, like, I guess when we actually were like full on, I guess I was 20. But I remember like meeting the guys from Chimera, right? And we first did shows with them, and they were like, they had their laptops out, and they had their message boards, and they like, they had like, they legit viewed their career as, we're going to be the next Mudvayne, we're gonna be the next Slipknot, and they were very business minded, and they knew they were gonna do that, and I was just like, whoa, that's crazy. Like having just to see someone else who has like the confidence in themselves to believe that they're going to be really successful almost felt like, I don't know, I guess maybe that there's that coming out of the hardcore scene, there's always that element that money is like way over there, and just we're here because we're here, and that's, it's very, as Jamie Johnson calls it, the punk rock guilt, which, like I said, I never really considered myself punk or like totally enveloped in that scene, but being part of the hardcore scene, I felt it's tangential to that.
Yeah, they're definitely
connected and very, very correlated to that. But there was that thing of like, just, I don't know, we always just felt like underdogs. Like, the God forbid dudes, all 5 of us at one point worked for the same landscaping company.
That would be interesting to see. I'm not gonna lie.
So we would literally get in a van, at 7 in the morning and just be cutting lawns, and we would listen to WSOU, the local radio station, and just hear bands, and we would just like, we'd hear a band, like maybe a local band or a newer band that we didn't think was that good, and we would just hate on them. And we'd just we would just seethe with jealousy.
Just such haters.
Yeah, and like, but it was like
the definition.
And then go work all day, and then get up, and then go to rehearse, and then like funnel that like frustration of like, oh, we're doing this all day, but we want to be doing this, and I think there's something about that energy like that. You can never replace that, right? That type, like, that's the anger and like, they don't believe in us, and all that stuff that filters into the music, that raw thing that you can never go back to being 20 again, and like kind of distilling that sense of desperation. Yeah,
I think that's a really good point. I don't know if you meant to, but touch upon like a lot of the criticisms you get as a band when you start to evolve as a musician and start to find other things. Or, for us, like, it's just write the way that you feel at the moment. It's not, first of all, like you said, you're not going to be able to recreate what you did when you were 20 years old. It's fucking impossible. So why would you try? Like, you just got to write in the moment that you are right now. Use the influences around you that you have now, the inspirations, and be real to your music. And I think that's, like, when you try to recreate shit, as much as people like go, oh, I want them to do that record again. First of all, not possible. Second of all, no.
Well, I say
it's not going to happen. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't know about for you. You don't want, like, you were talking about when you were leaving God forbid and you wanted to work another music muscle. I mean, that's part of it too. That's part of the evolution of being a musician and just a human being in life too. Like, we're using this music thing to explain it, but let's be real. Like, you grow up, your life changes. You're still the same person, but your perception starts to develop as you grow into a mature adult.
Dude, it's this thing I think about all the time, because I'll listen to, I don't know if you're like me, but I tend to definitely go back to records from like certain eras, or like
nostalgia. Every once in a while you want to listen to,
or like how like there's some bands who are massive artists, but maybe you only listen to those first 3 records, right? There's something special about that, and it makes me think about this like kind of approachable thing of like magic, right? Why does this album have the magic, or this film has the magic, but this sequel doesn't, or the first record has the magic, but the eighth record doesn't? And you're trying to like tap into this frequency of purity or things working out or whatever. And that's the thing I'm always trying to think about, but I was gonna make this analogy that artistic kind of progress is like a drug, right? So even if you went and tried to remake City of Evil, right? You did, because you'd already done it, when people hear it, they already had the hit. So it's never gonna hit the same way again. You know what I'm saying? Because that was fresh when it came out.
Chasing the dragon, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can't do that. But you can still, I think, find a frequency of something that harkens to the truth of what that art is, right? And I think the best example of that is what Metallica's done in these last couple records, where they somehow they've rediscovered this element of oh, this is what kind of Metallica is and what it means. But it doesn't mean they're forgetting the Load eras and the St. Anger's. I still feel all that stuff's in the new Metallica, but something about it, you hear Spit Out the Bone, you're like, God damn, how is this is one of the best Metallica songs they've ever written. And so somehow they're able to tap into something that feels classic, but also feels right now and vibrant. And I don't and that's however you kind of come back around to that. And that's the thing, even with God Forbid, I'll almost be scared to make a God Forbid album now, because I'm do I have do I have that same thing? You know what I'm saying? How do you get back to that place that still feels like the same band, but in a pure way?
I think you have to, and I don't know this, but I think that goes back to I was talking about, you just write for yourself and write for the realness of what's going on in your life. And then when you look back at it, I think when you brought up one of the greatest analogies of it is Metallica. If you look at their entire discography, it's an arcing story of who they are.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's kind of what you want to build, in my opinion, is not just album after album, what's the arcing story of this whole thing? And we as fans get to watch a band like fucking Metallica over all these years reinvent themselves and show us their path through music. I think that's a beautiful thing. And the second thing I wanted to touch upon is I went to the masterminds of Wikipedia, and they had, and under God Forbid, now obviously Wikipedia is a joke, so, but it did say 2022 on. Is there any talk of you guys getting back together?
Oh, you know those? Yeah, we announced a reunion show.
What the fuck? Okay, so Wikipedia was right, Johnny Christ was wrong.
I think Wikipedia is kind of more on than people probably give him credit for. But but no, we're playing Blue Ridge Rock Fest in Virginia in September.
Oh
this
shit!
Year. So we're we literally three of us just met up in Jersey last week and ran through the set, and
that's awesome,
struggled,
man.
Struggled through those songs. But no, we're luckily it's a little bit later in the year, so we have some time to prepare. But yeah, it was just, we were already talking about doing something, and then an offer kind of came that was very competitive for I think what was out there, and I was like, you guys would do this, and everyone.
When was that announced? Because now I feel like an asshole.
This was announced, I want to say, about 6 weeks ago.
Okay, so I'm not that far off.
No, but no, there's been a lot of excitement about it.
I'm excited about it. I didn't even know about it until just now. I'm actually this is fucking awesome.
Well, it's I guess, yeah. I mean, it's pretty much gotten out there. I remember certain websites would pick it up because the festival, I guess, listed a handful of acts on that day. So some people just announce it oh, here's all these acts, but God Forbid is one of them. So maybe you didn't hear about it that way. But yeah, I mean, it's cool because it's low. In the grand scheme, it's low pressure. It's a festival. There's a lot of stuff going on.
That's the way to come back too.
I mean, it's still probably like to do something in the headlining capacity in New Jersey, where the band is from, but we're kind of taking it one step at a time. It's really tough with, two of the guys have families and kids and jobs that they can't just leave. Leave. And so everything has to be kind of really planned far ahead, and a certain maybe times a year that okay, we know no one's working over here or stuff even with Bad Wolves we were a little bit behind the ball booking our stuff because of the lawsuits. We couldn't book tours. So everything kind of happened late. So we're still kind of figuring out the rest of our year. So it's tough to can we do it around this time? It's I don't know. Maybe I'll have a tour. Maybe I won't. I don't know.
Shit. Yeah, it's got to be a little nerve-wracking in a way.
Yeah, but it's such is life.
Good problem to have, though.
Yeah, no, it's the fact that Bad Wolves actually was able to get on the road and like new singer, new album, this whole the post-COVID or the end of I don't know how you want to describe it.
Did you guys get stuck in any bubbles on the road or?
Yeah, I mean it was pretty tight rules, we really there were no meet and greets, they didn't want us really taking like pictures with anyone or no friends backstage.
Yeah, that was a thing that, I was hitting up friends that were on tours and stuff, and I was like, I want to come out and see you, and they're like, can't really, you can come out and see the show, and I'm like, well, that's not why I'm coming out, so I'll wait. Yeah. But are you hearing anything, like you guys got some tours coming up, you doing the European runs, I imagine?
No, we're not this year because again, by the time we could do stuff, almost everything was booked.
Okay. What do you have lined up for Bad Wolves right now?
So I don't know if I can. When is this gonna air?
Not next Monday. The Monday after.
Okay, I could probably announce it.
We could cut it. I'll send it to you before.
Yeah.
And if
we're going out. Basically, it was the same. It's the second leg of the same tour we did. So it's Papa Roach and Hollywood and Dead, but in this leg, Falling in Reverse is going to be doing it. So
cool.
4-band package, even bigger rooms, or some amphitheaters and stuff like that. But
springtime's opening up. Summertime, get out in those amphitheaters.
So this will be like the end of summer.
End of summer.
Yeah,
okay,
July into September, and then we're looking at some stuff for Europe for the end of the year. Hopefully. There's I think a strong chance we may headline. We're waiting to see like what the support slots are looking like. But it's really important, I think, for us to get to Europe on this cycle. But because of like everything that happened with the singer change, it like extended we were working on the album for almost 2 years, and then we put the album out and then couldn't tour. So almost I feel like this album cycle, quote unquote, is going to be a little bit smaller, and then because I think we're kind of ready to like figure out the next creative venture, because like this record,
it took you that long to get it out and stuff.
Well, not only that, most of the record was written before DL joined, so it's it'd be great to have a record that he is helping construct from the ground up and feel like he is a part of everything, and it's so important to design the music, I think, around the singer and the vocals and their strong suits and their they like singing this key, and this is like the timbre of their voice, and this works really well with that. DL sounds great, so much anything I'm sure he'll sound amazing on.
Yeah.
But
where did DL come from? Sorry to cut you off there. I was curious. I didn't know where he came from.
So he was the guitar player in the band the Acacia Strain for 10 years. Like he's the one that really was the launching point for that band, and he quit. I'll say 2010 or something like that, 2012, something like that, and just became a behind-the-scenes producer, songwriter. And so he's like produced and like worked on like the last couple All That Remains records, On Earth. Like he's a badass. Like
right.
He does everything. Like it's insane. Like he'll pick up the guitar and like smoke me. I'm like.
He's one of those guys again.
Yeah, one of those guys. That's what I'm saying. We have one of those guys in our band now who can kind of do everything. Like we kind of joke. It's like, hey DL, can you go write the next Bad Wolves album? We're gonna be on the beach. But having that broader talent base is it's a whole new thing. So I think in many ways, as much as we're glad to get back on the road, I think. And this happens for a lot of bands, right? By the time a record comes out, it's old to the band.
Right. Oh, that's always the case. Even if you did get it out in like say a year, you're still like.
But we had good almost 4 or 5 months between when the album came out and the tour, and then another few months before the next tour. So we're already in that mindset. So I think we're gonna start writing next month.
Oh wow, that fast? That's cool, man.
Yeah. We'll see how much we get done, but we already have like probably. Dude, so much music left over as well. And like, I don't know if we want to like release that in like EP form or like do little things like that, or maybe, cause part of me almost doesn't want to leave stuff over. I want to like start fresh, but a good song is a good song, right? It doesn't really matter.
Well, and now, nowadays too, I don't know if you guys have thought about it, but just moving forward, like what is a full album release? Like you can release so much cool creative stuff along the way without necessarily having it be a part of a full-length album and
Well,
stuff.
if the label lets us. Hear me better noise, all right? No, well, because it's, ultimately there has to be kind of a top-down mindset in terms of because I might want to release something, but if they don't want to do it,
well, yeah,
we kind of have to go, come on, guys.
You just got to convince him. Just put Zoltan on it, and he'll go talk.
Well, we're not working with Zoltan, unfortunately, anymore. So
you're not?
They put somebody on it, no.
Let's put somebody on it, though.
But I still love Zoltan. He's the man.
Yeah.
5 Fingers, best dudes.
Good dudes. We had some tours with them. But yeah, I'm really excited for everything that you're doing right now. I'm fucking excited to hear that, God forbid, is doing some shows again, because I was not sure that was going to be reality. Hopefully, do you think you guys, I know you're taking it one step at a time and everything. Do you think you'll get back into writing at some point, possibly? Have you guys discussed that at all yet?
I mean, a little bit, because I was kind of the main kind of riff writer, songwriter for the band for, a good portion of those last few records. So it's me as a writer, there's always stuff where I'm like, that sounds like a God forbid thing, right? So there's always stuff that I'll just kind of put to the side or kind of be in the back of my mind, like that theoretically could be that. So there's definitely some material that definitely could exist, but I am very much taking it one step at a time. I have a tendency to have a lot of big ideas and go a lot of rabbit holes down my head, but unfortunately, not even unfortunately, but you want to make sure everyone's a part of that, not just it's my little kind of
You're not speaking for everybody.
Exactly. Sometimes I get all hyped up in my head, but it's like it takes a village and everyone has to be on board, and it's important to make sure everyone is excited about anything you're doing, and just that's just very, very important to me. I really enjoy the band dynamic and having everyone be involved and be excited about stuff, because I really believe in the synergy of that I think Godfrey was one of those bands where the sum was better than the parts, that everyone together made something that was that outpaced our actual talent and ability, because of the chemistry.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many bands that aren't that way, I guess.
I think the best
everyone's
bands,
better together.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, and that's a part that people at home who aren't in bands maybe don't know, but that's a part. If you're starting a band right now, make sure everyone's having a good time in it together.
Yeah, but you want that kind of idiosyncrasies of, oh man, when you do this and I do that, and all of a sudden it
playing off of each other.
All of a sudden it becomes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Peanut butter pretty good, jelly all right, bread okay, put them together. Got a situation.
We just went food on it.
That's right.
Food. Thank you so much,
sandwiches with Johnny.
Sandwiches with Johnny and Doc. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Everyone, go check out some more of Doc Coyle on the X-Men podcast. Bad Wolves. God forbid shows coming up. Get excited, people. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Peace.